Welcome to Charts Today Energy. My name's David Linton, and today's edition for Tuesday, the 13th of November, comes to you from London. And we're seeing crude falling further this morning, having a bit of an impact on the energy mix. That's interesting. Just looking at the macro, the dollar is down slightly but still looking very bullish, and the euro is up slightly but still looking very bearish, against the dollar especially. Against the yen, dollar is up on all three time frames. Remembering this is my long-term, medium-term, and short-term chart. And if we look at sterling, it's recovering a little bit but still bearish against the dollar. Any falls lower will activate this downside target, some 4.9% lower. And against the euro, sterling is bearish short term, bullish medium term. And against the Swiss franc, looking a little bit better there. US markets fell further last night. The NatGas was down another 3%, Apple down 5%, which is having a real impact. We're seeing European markets opening higher this morning. The DAX up about 1/3% on the future. Looking at gold. In Asia, by the way, we were up on Hong Kong, China, and India, but the rest of the markets were down quite heavily, especially Japan, down 2%. Gold is up very slightly, just holding on to the $1,200 mark, and US 10-year yields looking just weaker short term. Taking a look at the energy mix, we start with Brent crude. We're bullish in the long-term chart still, but the medium-term chart is now well and truly bearish. Still bearish on that short-term 60-minute chart. We see the 1-minute chart this morning. We were falling away. We have recovered a little bit. We were down as much as 1%. We're now down 2/3%. We do have this target of 67.84 hanging over us. No really clear 1-minute targets. Looking at WTI. We see here we do have some clearer targets. That's the beauty of looking at both products. On the 60-minute chart on WTI, we have downside targets to 58.04, 57.92. So 58 is looking like a likely level. We're at 59.32, so that's a further dollar. And now a dollar at these levels is, of course, 2%. Looking at the 1-minute chart, and if you're trading oil, this is really the chart to watch. If we move lower this morning, we activate a downside target to 53.90 on the 1-minute chart. 57.90 is in train. That was given at 61. So all roads point to down for crude at the moment. US NatGas, on the other hand, is making really strong gains. It's the one energy product really bucking the trend at the moment, and we're back to 2014 levels now. So really looking very bullish indeed. We had this target of 410 given just last week, and we've got a new upside target of 429. That's 8% higher. So it is looking like we are going higher, and we've got multiple targets here of 401, 407. So and notice how this 396 target given back last week, given and met, that was given at 350. So we are seeing that these targets are becoming quite clear, and we're seeing the correlation with crude oil, normally quite strong, just turning very weak indeed. So US NatGas looking very strong. Heating oil, we're seeing here looking pretty weak with downside targets following crude, as we would expect. RBOB actually looking a little bit better with some upside targets, and we see here we have had a relatively good start to the day. Looking at coal, we're back below the $90 level on API2. Remembering that this data is coming to you from Thomson Reuters Icon. If you've got Trayport data, you're probably seeing better prices on the coal on your screen, and you'll have slightly different targets to the on the charts because of the liquidity. 87.50 was given and met. We've got a new upside target of 92.30 that's not activated, and we are still in a downtrend, so we'd still favour the downside on coal. We have got this longer term chart of 84.68. Remembering this is my, and that's 5% lower. Remembering this is my long term, my medium term, and my short term picture. Taking a look at emissions, down 1.75% this morning. So we did start a little bit better, but we've just pulled away. So we are seeing emissions looking lower. 1950 is the target. That's 3% lower. So emissions looking weak this morning. correlation with crude oil quite high on the daily chart, so further falls in crude are effectively weighing a little bit on emissions. Looking at NBP, we're down slightly this morning. We had a good day yesterday, really jumped higher. We have got an upside target now on the 1 minute chart. So notice how this target of 71.80 was given and met. 79.70 is the next target, and we have got 79.05, 72.90, and 79.92. So we have got quite good upside targets, looking a little bit like a recovery in the NBP price. So that's looking quite interesting. Looking at TTF, we're seeing also holding some fairly flat this morning, but yesterday it jumped massively at the opening. And so we are seeing gas prices just looking stronger. Again, remembering this data is coming off Thomson Reuters Icon. If you're running Updata on Trayport, you'll be seeing better targets there. And looking at Italian gas, also looking stronger. German power down 1% this morning. So we saw yesterday it jumped along with gas prices. The whole energy mix in Europe really was up. And if we look at the chart, we've got an activated target now, 58.50. That's 10.6% higher. New downside target of 51.60. So we are seeing a pullback potential. On the 60-minute chart, interestingly, we see the jump here. 60 euros 89 is the target, but we'd have to move above 53.80 to activate that. So it'll be interesting to see if we can do that. Looking at French power, it was up strongly yesterday as well, as was Nordic power and UK power also looking strong, pretty well across the board. Looking at Dutch power down this morning in sympathy with German power. Czech power was strong yesterday, of course. Polish power is actually bucking the trend this morning, up 2%, so continuing to rise there. Italian power was down yesterday, and Spanish power was also lower. That's it for today. Until tomorrow, happy charting. See you then.